And so um, then, um, so after all this revelation, God had, um, I went out to eat yesterday at a sushi restaurant and I paid a tip. God had me be very generous with the tip. I don't, I mean, I'm generous, but this was like above generosity. Like this was $25 is generous. I gave him double because double is my portion. Anyway, so today that amount was updated on how to include the tip that I had given. So God had me look up the number 183.56. How? How the page 1856 came up? Only God. In my Bible, that's not the page. It's not 1856. In my Bible, it's 480. Chosen for a new beginning. So before I say this, so 7 years ago, got divorced. Last year was the 7th year, perfect completion. This year is year 8, new beginnings. 2 new beginnings. Because the number 8, let's do it this way. The number 8 is 4 and 4. 4 is the number chosen. 2 people chosen to become 1. Tara, that's God. That's all I can say. That's God. Okay, so first of the year, neighbor was supposed to leave. She went kukui. I mean, kukui. She was yelling and screaming and telling everybody off. And then the man that lives with her, came home and said, "What is wrong with you? We don't have the money to move. Where are we going to go?" And she was like, he goes, "You have to fix this. You broke this. You have to fix it." So she had to go to the owner and she had to humble herself and tell him, "Please give me one more chance." And he said, "Okay, but I don't want you banging on the walls. I don't want you making any more noise. I don't want to hear a peep from you." And so I went to pay rent today and I told him, I said, "Well, common denominator in all the problems around here has been her." And he goes, "I know." And I said, "I don't like the fact that she doesn't keep her dogs on a leash. So I have to be careful when I come out of my room with my dog because I never know if her dogs are going to be out off leash. And sometimes she just leaves her door open and they could just run out." Which is the reason she got into an altercation with the gentleman who had the pit bull. And I don't know if I said this or not. I think I didn't. But anyway, so the dog bit her hand. And she ended up in the hospital. This is where the craziness started. And then she started yelling at everybody, yelling at everything. She almost got into a fight with her, like fist fight with her daughter. It was a mess, okay? And so now, not a single peep. I sleep through the night. I haven't slept through the night in a while because she's been keeping me up, screaming, yelling, throwing things against the wall. And I told him what she's doing. And then he told me today, he goes, "Tell me what you're dealing with. Don't deal with it yourself." I said, "Oh, I don't. I don't tell her anything." I said, "That's your job. God has his job. You have your job. I have my job." I was like, it's like at work. If there's a problem, I give the information to the GM and I let the GM deal with it. It's not my job. Not my problem. I don't take things on that aren't mine. God has taught me that. Don't take things on that aren't yours. You have a role. Your role does not include this. Your role does not include that. So I was upset because this girl, Kim, doesn't like me. She made a false accusation against me. And now, here she is working with me. And God's like, she's helping you. Take the help. I send who I want to help you. And I'm like, okay. I said, you want her to help me? I'll accept her help. Because I was tired. I was exhausted. I could not. I'm like, Father, I'm so tired. And he looks at me and he goes, then why aren't you accepting my help? From the people? And he goes, vindication comes the way I want it. I'm like, yes, sir. So now he's forcing these people to help me, to support me. They don't like me, but they have to help me. And this is how I've come from. I found that out. So I was in the back most of the day because we didn't have any ranch, so I had to make five containers of ranch. It took me most of the day. I was in the back, but I would come in and I would help out in spots, as needed. But I had to keep doing the ranch. The boss was busy doing I don't know what. But because she's slower than I am, he had to help her clean tables. He had to help her clean this kitchen. He had to help her keep up with the work. Like, she couldn't do what I could do. So her mom bought her a cup, a Stanley cup. And I realized that I was like kind of focusing in on it. And then I was like, God, why am I focusing so much on this cup? Like, he's like, it's a glamour spell. I'm like, what? Look at what's on the cup. What animal is that? It's a lion with wings. Oh. And he goes, yeah, it's a glamour spell. Stop looking at the cup. Stop admiring the cup. I'm like, oh, okay. I haven't looked at the cup since. God said no, I left it alone. Since that day, she has not brought that cup in. If she brings it in, she puts it, away. She doesn't have it out where I can see it anymore. Because I noticed that I was like, oh, pretty. And then he goes, girl, it's a glamour spell. Get off that. And I was like, oh. And I prayed, Father, forgive me for my trespasses. And I have been praying every day. Because he's like, you really focus your prayer. Focus the prayer. Focus the prayer. So I pray on the people. I pray about the people. And so now the GM told him that I was going to change towards him. He's like, you don't want her dog? She's not going to want you anymore. She's going to leave you alone. Watch. Just tell her. You'll see. She's going to walk away from you because she's not giving up her dog. Her dog's been with her through thick and thin. You're just a guy. You'll see her true feelings. And God's like, give up your dog. I'm like, okay. So I gave up my dog. And then he goes, now go eat. Because he told him that I was going to change towards him. And I'm like, taking pictures of all the food. And I'm like, you're getting half of all of this. And he's like, she hasn't changed towards me. Because then God brought to my remembrance, let your yes be yes and your no be no. Do not be fickle like the world. And I was like, oh my God, like you really are coming through loud and clear. Like there's no denying it. So, this is where we're at. So he had me look up the number 18356, 183 5:6. And the passage that came up was 1 Kings chapter 22, verse 21. And there came forth the Spirit, and stood before the Lord, and said, I will persuade him. And God said, why was I sending that Spirit out? Like, I don't know. So I read the beginning of the chapter. And this is about Baal and his false prophets. The spirit of lying, the spirit of lies is about to go out. It's about to start to manifest in the mouths of the prophets that are not for God. You must have ears to hear, and you must be able to see, to discern who is a child of God and who is not. And be careful, for even some of God's prophets will fall to the spirit of lies. When you think you are speaking truth, and instead you are speaking lies. You must know God's voice. You must understand what He is doing in this hour. God's children must be able to discern the difference between a child of God and a child of Baal. I have seen it in my own life, that lying spirit manifesting by the people around me. There's a woman who, okay, so let me back up. So this young girl, Kim, had said that I had given free wine to this older woman. Her name is Robin, and her husband's name is Royal. God had been sending me to eat at Red Robin for a time. All of it has meaning. So I knew there was something about this woman that God wanted me to keep her close, but not too close. So I began to see that she had a spirit of grandeur. Like she wants to be a savior. She wants to save people so bad. She wants them to worship her. And God, when this young girl opened her mouth and said a lie, that I did this, this woman said a lie to me. She goes, why don't you want to serve me anymore? I'm like, I have to go clean that table with her. He can serve you. She goes, no, but I want you to serve me. I said, he can serve you just fine. I got to go clean that table. When I came back, she looks at me and she says, you know, Will said that I get a free glass of wine the next time I come in. I'm like, excuse me? Let me go find out, because she goes, I'm just kidding. So you did say that. You did say that I give you free wine, even though I don't. Okay. I didn't go tell Will. I didn't go say a word. Because I confronted her when she came in. Because she hadn't come in a long, long while. She thought that I was going to get fired. So she figured, she leaves. I don't care. Wise as serpents. I didn't go to her and tell her, no, I did exactly what God said. put her feet to the fire. Hold her accountable for lying. And she spoke to my boss and told him, she's never given me any free wine. I paid for every glass of wine. He goes, I know. I checked. Diana doesn't give you anything for free. She makes you pay for everything. So the fact that she would tell her this, and then this girl would go and tell the owner's daughter instead of going and telling the general manager who was on shift that day. Yeah. Which is why she ended up getting the fear of Will in her. Because he told her, I could fire you right now for lying. But I need you. I need you to help me with something. So God showed me that all of these people are working together. And then there's a young man. I caught him vaping in the walk-in. And he was waiting for me to go tell the boss. He thinks I'm going to manipulate him, that I'm going to blackmail him into doing whatever I want. I'm like, no, that's not who I am. That's not who God created me to be. So he is now part of that crew that is working with the general manager. All of this to remove Ben and me from being together. Because the general manager wants the blessings that come with me. Remember, he was the first redeemer. God gave him the opportunity to redeem me. But he said, no, I'm going to stay right where I am. And I'm going to live my life according to my ways. And God said, okay, this is the man for you. He was the man all along. And he brought this forward again because there was a man on the bus that looked like Scott, who was the man God was showing me up until last year was my husband. And I was like, but he reminds me so much of my ex-husband. Like, I don't understand. Like, he's married. He should have cut off all interactions with me after he got married. But he kept the line open. That's a man who is not faithful to his wife in his heart or in his mind. And that is not what I wanted. And I kept telling God, I don't understand why you have me with this man. I don't understand why you have me stand in the gap. And it was because there was a lot of things that he was releasing through this man, because it was a distance. So I didn't feel pressure to become smaller than I am. God will use whatever he has to use to be able to get you to where he needs you to be. And so I was on the bus on Friday. And this man looked just like Scott. Now, I passed by this man. I didn't even see him. Well, I saw him, but I didn't pay attention to him. I sat down. And I was, kind of relaxed, kind of sitting back. And then God highlights him. He goes, hey, what does that remind you of? And he looks towards me. And I was like, he reminds me of Scott. I said, oh no, God, please tell me he's not going to come back into my life and that he's not going to create this drama. And no, I'm done. I'm tired. I don't want to deal with any of this. I don't want him to come back. And God asked me to check my heart. He goes, how does this change your feelings for Ben? Seeing him, the thoughts that came up, how does that change your heart towards Ben? Like, it doesn't. I still love Ben. I want to be with Ben. Ben is kind and smart and strong, and he helps me. He doesn't just expect me to serve him, he serves me. Like, he gives to me as well as I give him. Like, it reciprocates. He doesn't hold on to things for himself. He gives them back to me. And then what I give him back is that what he gives me, I turn it into something else and I give it back to him. I convert it. And he sees that. And so in that moment, I realized that I'm done. That was my final test. Now I get to move on to be with my husband in the natural. You will get to see him. I don't know how involved he's going to be in this particular way of how God, because remember, I still have the website. God hasn't led me to go back to the website. I know once I transfer over to being married and being in my home with my husband, which God also told me to tell him. He goes, you need to tell him. Tell him the things that are coming. And I'm like, okay. And I told my husband, I said, they see the blessings that are coming. Will sees the blessings that are coming for us. And he wants them for himself. So he's trying to prevent our union by any means necessary. This is all revelation for him. Like, I step by step, this is what God has been telling me to tell him. So first I revealed the the action that was going to be taken against him. Then I reveal his I provide revelation on his dream, and then now God is telling him, okay, now you need to protect what's yours. Because this man is coming for what's yours. What are you going to do? So God, I told him, I said, they see what's coming. They want to take what's coming to us. I said, God has shown me that we're going to have new houses, that we're going to have new cars, that we're going to have financial downpour. And I said, what's funny is I never prayed for any of it. I prayed for love. I prayed to have God bring a man to me that I could love without caring for myself, without worrying about whether or not I was going to fail or fall. I want to love a man without having reservations. I want to love a man who is going to receive my love and reciprocate it back to me. A man who's going to protect me, who's going to nourish me, who's going to encourage me, who's going to push me to be better, stronger. And these are the things that I've been telling him. So, yeah, this man who's supposed to be a friend, supposed to be like a brother to him, because that's what he's acted like for the time that they've known each other. But now Ben is realizing that this man is not for him. This man is not on his side. This man is chipping away at him, keeping him depressed and, feeling like he's worthless, like he's not a good man, like he's not capable of being a good man. And God has been using me to build him up, because I'm looking at him and I go, I don't understand why they have to manhandle you. I said, you know your job. You know it better than they do. They should just let you be. And Jesus, or the crew chief, Jesus, one day, this was a while back, says to me, you need to manage Ben. And I said, what? No, I don't. And he goes, yeah, you do. You need to manage Ben. And I looked at Ben and I said, Ben, do you need to be managed? And he goes, no. I said, I didn't think so. And Jesus looks at me and he goes, yeah, you have to manage Ben. You have to keep him in line. I'm like, no, I don't. Ben is a good man. He knows what he needs to do. And I tell him, I don't understand why they don't trust you to do your job. If they just let you do your job, you would get it done faster and more efficient than they ever could. But I've watched him. He asked them, what do you want me to do? How do you want me to do it? And he does it their way, which takes longer. But I also saw a change recently where they're asking him for his input. They're asking him for his thoughts. Remember, God will change man's hearts. Where they were against you before, now they are for you. Where they didn't like you before, now they adore you. He will make them your footstool. How? It happens. It's God's way, not our way. God bless you, my brothers and sisters, and be careful. Stay prayed up. Honestly, make sure that you are opening your eyes to the things around you, because the spirit of lying is out. And the things of the end are coming. And soon many will perish, for they will try to save themselves instead of saving others. God bless.